Call to order the regular meeting of the Dickinson City Commission. Let the record show that all commissioners are present. We'll begin the evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll begin with the order of business. Mr. Dossinger, are there any changes to the order of business?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the Commission. There's no change to the order of business this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions on the order of business as presented? Now I look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
I have a motion to approve the order of business as presented.
Second.
With a second. Any further discussion on the order of business? Hearing none, all in favor of the order of business as presented, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that commissioners wish to discuss? Hearing no discussion or questions on the consent agenda, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We will move into administration and finance. We have a tobacco compliance issue. This will be presented by City Administrator Dossinger.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Commission. As part of a recently conducted citywide compliance check of retail tobacco outlets in Dickinson, 2 licensed establishments, the Cenex General Store and Vapes, were found to be non-compliant with the tobacco sales regulations. The compliance checks were conducted in coordination with the Southwest District Health Unit. The Cenex General Store failed its tobacco compliance check on December 22nd. According to the records provided to the city, this violation represents the establishment's first violation within the last 24 months. The Cenex General Store shall receive a written warning for a first offense. The municipal code further states that if the agent or employee does not possess a server training certificate card at the time of the violation, the city shall assess an administrative fine in the amount of $500 against the licensee. Vapes failed its tobacco compliance check on December 22nd. According to the records provided to the city, this violation represents the establishment's 3rd violation within the last 24 months. In the event of a 3rd violation within a 24-month period by the licensee as agent or employee of this article or Chapter 22C, Article 2, the city shall assess against the licensee an administrative fine in the amount of $2,000. The city shall further suspend the licensee's license and authority to sell tobacco products for no less than 4 days or revocation of a license. In accordance with this provision, city administration has determined that the appropriate enforcement action is a suspension of the sale of tobacco products for vapes on the following dates: February 13th of 2026, which is a Friday, February 14th, 2026, February 15th, and February 16th. The administrative fine associated with this violation will be assessed consistent with ordinance requirements, which is $2,000. There's no action required by the commission on this, just a matter of informational purposes.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions or comments?
Mr. President.
Commissioner Bear.
Mr. Dossinger, just a question. Just curious, how were these dates determined, the February 13th through the 16th?
Those are determined by me.
Okay. I was just wondering, why not just during the week when they would have the most business?
Well, these dates do cover a weekend period,
Okay.
which they are fairly busy over the weekend.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move into we have a job description, title and registration coordinator for the DMV. This will be presented by Deputy City Administrator Carlson.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. So before you, I am looking at a reclassification to a title and registration coordinator for the DMV. And the key reasons for reclassification after the separation of the branch office manager in October of '25, the city evaluated whether a full managerial position is currently necessary or whether a lead level role better aligns with operational needs and the long-term organizational structure. Based on the review, and the review was done by administrative staff and working with the DOT over in Bismarck, because they oversee a lot of the operations that's going on over there. They keep track of the records of the registrations and everything. So we had the operational manager, the training vice president, and one other lady that came over, and they did a review with the staff and everything and figured out what we needed to do. So based on this review, and I am recommending reclassifying that former manager's position from a grade 15 to a title and registration coordinator to a grade 13, which is a reduction of two pay grades. Some key reasons that I put down there, I did include a memo to the commission through HR's help. With that, the essential duties for the coordinator would be day-to-day workflow coordination, advanced technical expertise in titling and registration, support for the customer service and quality control, peer monitoring without supervisory authority. What would not be included, so that this qualifies for the reclassification, is there would be no authority for hiring, discipline, or performance evaluations, budget management, and policy development. That would still stay underneath me, as I am the supervisor over the DMV. So I stand for questions, but my review of this, it takes a technician with a lot of qualifications to be able to be that coordinator. But the branch managing of that DMV is mostly through the contracts, and that either has to go through the commission and or the city administrator to be able to assign it or anything like that. A branch manager that's in the DMV office would not have that possibility anyway. So feel that this is a better suiting of where they have at least a coordinator, being that I'm not down there, and if upon my retirement, and when the decision is made, whoever's going to take over that department, if they feel that then it needs a branch manager and stuff, then I could see where maybe a possibility of having those years in there, then that possibly could be something that they could have over there at that time. But at this time, I do not see that. But we have 4 technician ladies over there, but we do need somebody that is coordinating and just be that person that they can go to. So with that, I stand for any questions and ask for approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Carlson. Any questions on this reclassification of the position? If there are no questions, I look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next up is Public Works. We have a high lift wheel loader purchase. This will be presented by Interim Public Works Director Waldo.
Okay. Get my remote turned on here. All right. Good afternoon, Mr. President and Commissioners. Before you this evening, I have a purchase for a high lift wheel loader, excuse me. This purchase was approved in the 2026 budget. Our streets division solicited bids for a high lift wheel loader. Bids were opened by Streets Division staff with vendor representatives present on the 23rd of December 2025. After a comprehensive review of the bid documents, it's the recommendation of Public Works staff to proceed with the purchase of the CAT 926 from Butler CAT for a total cost after trade of $201,200. This new piece of equipment is slated to replace a 2007 Cat 924G high lift wheel loader, currently utilized by our streets division. An amount of $270,000 on a 5-year lease was budgeted for this purchase, and Public Works staff would recommend approval and purchase of that unit from Butler Cat.
Thank you, Mr. Waldo. Any questions for Mr. Waldo or city staff on this purchase?
Just a question on some of the exceptions to the bid, you know.
Yes.
I mean, when we write our bid specs, do we write bid specs that obviously excluded certain brands? Because, I mean, obviously Case or John Deere is not gonna make a loader that has sliding windows, let's say, like, or doesn't make one that's 165 horsepower that's comparable to this loader, or, I'm just curious, or a maximum cubic inch displacement of, or minimum of 400 CID when there's this 276.
Yep, and so for the most part, we actually go out of our way not to write out, and well, especially intentionally, but we go out of our way to try not to write out any particular vendors. Sometimes those things do end up happening. I know this bid spec was written based off of what the old machine was capable of, and the old machine was a Cat as well. But some of the finer points, especially with the electrical connections, those sort of items, a lot of that comes back to fitting in with the attachments that we have on hand and not having to go and buy half a dozen new attachments for a new machine. So the exceptions were, they spent about 2 days, our street staff, looking at all the exceptions and seeing what would be the most valuable option there. But I hope that answers your question.
Yep, it did. Yeah, I just was wondering, I don't want it to look like we're writing specs to favor one.
No, we actually.
I mean, they are the low bid too, so obviously
Right.
that's helps, but
Yeah.
if they wouldn't be the low bid, would we accept something else with that many exceptions?
Absolutely. If the exceptions, if it's something that they can work with, they're definitely not opposed to it. And like I said, there is some effort that goes into trying not to write out any particular vendor. I know one example that always comes to mind is with pickups, four-wheel hub lock four-wheel drive is something that only Ford makes. No other manufacturer makes that. And so that got pulled a decade ago already or something like that.
Okay.
But there's little stuff like that that we catch every time we procure a new piece of equipment, make sure it doesn't go in
All
the
right.
following year.
Thank you, Mr. Waldo.
Are there any other questions? If there are no more questions or comments, I'd look for a motion on the loader purchase.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Mr. Waldo, you have an emergency landfill closure task order.
I do. Okay, thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners. Second item I have before you this evening is a task order between the City of Dickinson and Houston Engineering to provide engineering services to support the permit renewal and eventual closure of the emergency inert landfill located south of 8th Street Southwest. This task order includes development of all design work for the closure of the facility and bidding support services, as well as project coordination and regulatory assistance throughout. An amount of $125,000 was budgeted for this project in 2026 through the City of Dickinson's capital improvement plan. The total cost associated with this task order is $123,631. Task order has been reviewed by the city attorney, and Public Works staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Waldo. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Waldo,
Yes.
when was the last time that landfill was actually utilized? Was that tornado?
That would have been the 789 tornado.
Okay.
We think we're never going to have to
That's-
utilize that facility again.
At this time, that's the intent. I think we have plenty of airspace at our current MSW landfill that if we had to, some kind of small event, maybe not something catastrophic like that, but some kind of small event that had some damaged property or something that had to be moved, our MSW landfill could definitely support it. There is also a possibility of getting a permit together. I think that permit was drawn together in a hurry. That would have been before my time with the city of Dickinson, but I think it was pretty short order between asking for that permit and then the state actually granting it and allowing us to use that site because of the emergency.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
that was
think-
one of the city's original landfills back in the day.
Is that right?
area. Yes,
I did
Yeah.
not know that.
yes. I grew up right beside it, so, yeah.
I've heard rumor that there are some whole cars
There's
just
whole
under the
cars.
surface of the soil.
You had to be very careful back in the day when you hunted on it or drove a snowmobile in the wintertime not to get caught up on a car. Yeah, there's whole cars buried there. And it's great that when we close this now, is it going to be like remediated to where it can be turned into like parkland or?
Yep, absolutely. We'll be able to put that land to beneficial use in the
Okay.
future.
Because it is a wetland right there too. There's a marsh type swampy area there, so. Any further questions or comments?
Mr. Waldo, any ongoing monitoring that we have to do?
With that site, no, because it's classified as an inert site.
Okay.
So that removes a lot of our groundwater monitoring and other things like that that we do at the MSW landfill.
Any further questions? There are no further questions. I'd look for a motion on this task order.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second?
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Mr. Waldo, you have the Public Works Monthly Report.
Yes, I do. Okay, the last thing I have for you this evening, Commissioners, is the Public Works Report for the month of January. Couple of highlights from the month of January: decoration, removal, and storage all over town. We did actually replace the last of our old style of decorations that had the glass bulbs and the tinsel and all that on them. We have a couple of the ones that were in nicer shape put in storage in case we ever have to drag them back out in the future. But for the most part, we've transitioned over entirely to LED decorations that are just the metal frame and then LEDs. They look really sharp if you remember seeing them, but that's always a pretty big job throwing those up and then taking them back down. Lift Station 11 was decommissioned in January. That's something that's been a subject of conversation as long as I've been working for the city of Dickinson, so at least 6 years now. That's the lift station just south of Taco John's, just north of the interstate there. Being able to shut that lift station down without losing any capacity in our system, that'll save us tremendous labor hour costs, electricity costs, and equipment replacement costs over the coming years. Being able to cut down on any number of our 24 lift stations in town will amount to a saving over time. Our solid waste and recycling team was named the best garbage service in Dickinson for the third consecutive year in a row, third consecutive year in the Dickinson Press. We are not the only garbage service in Dickinson, so that is an incredible honor to have that. For current large initiatives, a lot of our administrative staff is working on annual reports for NDDEQ. All of our teams that work with regulatory bodies, that would be our water utilities team, our water reclamation team, and our solid waste team, all have to compile annual reports and deliver those for all of our testing that was done over the course of the year. Given the weather that we've been having in January, our streets team has kind of been bouncing back and forth. They're fixing potholes one day and then they're doing snow and ice removal the next day, it seems like. So they were back out actually doing potholes today. And we'll keep hitting that as much as we can. The big thing with Asset Essentials, that's that Brightly program that we purchased a few years ago. Right now, we're in the middle of a push to try and get this interface that I took a screenshot of out and accessible to supervisory staff from all of the different departments around the city. So similar to anytime somebody has an issue with their computer, they put in a help desk ticket with IT. We're trying to utilize this in a similar capacity for building issues, but then also moving down the road and looking into the future. You know, streetlight problems, potholes, all that sort of stuff, anything that's not a right now emergency can get put into this system, cataloged. It becomes easier for our staff to track and prioritize those items. And then it's also easier for us to go back and look and see historically what's been done. So that could allow us to identify, you know, an HVAC unit that's on the verge of breaking down 2 years before it actually does, because we can see the full work order history of everything that's been done on it. So that's exciting for me. Upcoming initiatives, closure of the inert landfill permit. We just talked about that a moment ago. Ash mitigation. Our city forester has been working really hard on Dutch elm disease mitigation over the last few years. He's very optimistic. He feels like we're making excellent progress on that. So looking forward into the future, he's going to be looking to do some more proactive mitigation of emerald ash borer. It's not in the city right now, but if it were to hit us, it would hit us hard. 30% of our tree population is elm, and 30% of our tree population is ash in the city of Dickinson. So if we did get emerald ash borer and it came through bad, it would be 30% of our trees all at once. That would be no good. So he's looking at some ways that we can spread out, put more distance between the ash trees that we have, and then also some ways that we can do very selective removals to help save the bulk of the population down the road in the future. Finally, the last thing I have for you guys this evening, our WRF team is going to be doing a full tear down and rebuild of their UV disinfection system on their effluent for the plant there. That's something that has to be done every few years in order to maintain treatment efficiency. But with only having a 4-person crew out there, that's still a pretty big undertaking. They have to physically take apart all the electronic components, all the lights, all that, and rebuild all that by hand. So that'll consume some pretty good hours from them in the coming weeks. That is all I have for you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Waldo. Any questions for Mr. Waldo on the Public Works report? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move into public safety, and we have a quarterly report by the police department. This will be presented by Police Chief Siani. Welcome.
Good evening, President Decker and Commissioners. This evening I'll be presenting the fourth quarter report for 2025 for the Dickinson Police Department. Beginning with the dispatch activity report. Over the past 3 months of 2025, dispatch has received an average of 724 emergency 911 calls, 3,647 non-emergency incoming calls, and 866 dispatch-initiated outgoing calls. Calls for service for this period, we responded to an average of 2,261 calls for service each month. We closed out 2025 with the second highest total number of calls for service recorded by the Dickinson Police Department since 2018, which was a record year for us. Traffic stops, we averaged about 483 traffic stops each month, with right around 200 citations, 216 warnings being issued on a monthly basis during that quarter. Accidents, there were an average of 83 traffic accidents investigated, with just over 2 injury accidents reported each month. I'm also sad to report we did have 1 fatality accident in town, and we did assist with another one just outside of city limits. Arrests, an average of 144 arrests were made over each month over the past quarter. These arrests most of them were associated with alcohol or some type of violence. Some of the arrest classifications are spelled out here of the arrests being made. The monthly averages were just over 9 felonies each month were investigated, 83 misdemeanors, and 2 infractions. Criminal investigations were busy. Detectives averaged about 71 new cases each month and closed out an average of 51 cases. They have typically been carrying a 45 caseload that quarter. 8 cases a month have been forwarded to the state's attorney, city attorney, or another agency of those cases. Some of the cases investigated by investigations, as an overview, there were a number of burglaries, as well as 15 sex crimes, 4 death investigations. One of those was associated with fatality accidents amongst multiple other cases. The top 3 for criminal investigations were, they did conduct sex offender status checks of 44 registered offenders. They served about 40 search warrants, 28 theft and fraud related cases. The sex offender checks did result in 3 registration issues being addressed. We do have 2 high-risk offenders in the city. Call-outs, detectives were called out 31 times to assist in a variety of calls ranging from a number of deaths, multiple burglaries, aggravated assaults. Detectives averaged 10 call-outs each month, which correlates to more than 2 each week for call-outs for investigators. Behavioral health, we averaged 83 behavioral health related calls, with the majority of those associated with welfare checks, 25 with mental health actual issues, and 34 suicide threats. Training, posted over the past 3 months, we posted 546 hours of total training. That equates to an average of 182 hours each month over the last quarter of 25. Some of that training highlights range from financial and records analysis and pepper ball training. We actually had a quarterly training where 33 officers attended our in-house 4th quarter training, which consisted of a First Amendment audit and use of force taser training. Records Division. The Records Division fingerprinted right around 18 individuals each month. 14 sex offenders are registered each month, and 49 warrants and summonses are processed on an average. The animal shelter averaged 146 calls for service. Most of the calls handled were the typical calls of running at large or a barking nuisance. Shelter stats, an average of 57 animals were impounded, with even mix of cats and dogs this time around. An average of 25 animals remain at the pound each month, with most being returned to their owners, rescued or adopted out. At the end of December, we closed the year with only 2 dogs and 5 cats remained at the pound. Good numbers for the pound. Of the 171 animals impounded in the 4th quarter, 147 were strays. 6 came through Stark County in our contract with them. 3 came through Billings County and Killdeer related to special circumstances. We don't normally take those animals. 4 associated with a physical arrest or a court order, and 8 animals were surrendered and 3 were impounded as a result of a bite. Going on to the SRO activities of the 4th quarter, DSU generated 4 investigative reports with no summonses or arrests. Dickinson High School generated 63 investigative reports with 12 juvenile summonses issued or referrals. Dickinson Middle School generated 29 investigative reports with 3 juvenile summonses issued. The elementary schools, in a holistically, 62 investigative reports generated with no referrals or summons on there. Main issues with the school district right now are behavioral issues, truancy, some fighting, and vaping is still a problem within the district, as it is everywhere. Going on with the SROs and other staff or community events, they were busy with a number of special activities and events. You had one result of that was we had a round of tobacco compliance checks, which were completed. 9 businesses were checked out of the 9, 2 failed. DARE education classes are in full roll. We assisted with the West River lock-in for some of our youth at the community center, and then theft and general safety presentation amongst a number of other. We did have Veterans Day in the fourth quarter, and we're proud to say, I am proud to say that we have 12 veterans who serve on the department and the community. Moving on, continuing with some of our community events, 5 dispatchers led to Helping Hands stuffing backpacks at the Amen Food Pantry Community Co-op Food Drive. Dickinson Police Association donated $2,000, and several DPD employees, along with their families, volunteered to prepare Thanksgiving Day meals for over 800 people at DSU. This next video is DPD staff and surrounding law enforcement agencies participated in Shop with the Cops, sponsored by FOP at Walmart. Over 55 kids got an opportunity to Christmas shop with law enforcement officers. I'm very fond of this program and have a short video highlighting the event. I don't know if I have to click it or how that works. With that, that's one of the few times I actually get out to Walmart personally, so I try to avoid Walmart, but yeah, that is a very fun event. $150 is spent on each kid, along with another $50 gift certificate through FOP for their family members, so to make sure that they have a Christmas meal that they can have for Christmas. So very popular event. With that, we had a number of notable work anniversaries in the fourth quarter. Corporal Mike Legler celebrated 15 years of service with the department. Sergeant Corey Wallace celebrated 10 years of service, and Public Safety Telecommunicator Tennille Ware celebrated 10 years of service in the fourth quarter. Also, we did have retirement of longtime dispatcher Kim McGarvey after nearly 20 years of service. We thank Kim for her service and wish her well in her future endeavors. And last but not least, we do have the Heroes Ball coming up here on April 10th at the August House. Get your tickets as soon as possible. The event does sell out fairly quickly. And with that, I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Chief Siani. Any questions for the chief? Thank you so much for the report.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, we'll move in. We have a public hearing, and this is on our Chapter 20-3 Flood Ordinance Amendment. This will be presented by Engineering and Community Development Director Sklachik.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. Let's see. So the North Dakota Century Code was amended with Senate Bill 2027, which took effect on August 1st, 2025. In Senate Bill 2027, several changes were made to the North Dakota Century Code related to Floodplain Management Authority. North Dakota Department of Water Resources has determined the specific statute authorizing communities to regulate floodplains that is ultimately changed. And so you can see I crossed out the current sections of Century Code that we have referenced in our municipal code, and then ultimately updated those individual sections of Century Code to what it will be. So with that being said, we do have some time to get this updated, but I'd like to present the changes, and engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklochek. Any questions on ordinance 1847? Again, this is a flood ordinance amendment. If there are no questions, I will open up the public hearing. If anyone has any questions pertaining to the flood ordinance amendment, which is mandated by the legislature of the state of North Dakota, please come forward and let us know your concerns or if you have any questions about it. Anyone from the public? Anyone from the public have any concerns or questions on the ordinance amending or reenacting section 20-4 of the municipal code for the city of Dickinson? Seeing no one has any questions, I'll close public hearing. Commissioners, any further questions or comments? Now I look for a motion on ordinance 1847.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We will go back into community development. We have an introduction this evening. This will be of our new project engineer, Mr. Sklochek.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. It's kind of my privilege to introduce to you and to the community Mr. Daniel Miner, who has come on board here just recently with the City of Dickinson as a project engineer. So, Daniel, if you want to say a few words.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and look forward to improving the city as I can. Thank you.
All right.
Short and sweet.
You sure he's an engineer?
Typical engineer, yeah.
Okay.
Welcome
Well,
aboard.
welcome aboard. Thank you. Yep. All right, we'll move into Chapter 62, our industrial off-street parking standards. This will be presented by City Planner Burchik.
Good evening, Commissioners. Natalie Burchak, City Planner. So, Community Development staff is requesting approval of a zoning text amendment to Section 62-592 Off-Street Parking Design Standards in Chapter 62 zoning of the Dickinson Municipal Code in order to prevent scoria and dirt from being considered as finished surfacing within city limits, and to add a requirement for a 50-foot minimum paved area from the right-of-way to any unpaved parking areas. So the intention of this amendment is to limit dust generation, track out, and erosion from any industrial parking areas, as well as to prevent maintenance issues from tracking debris into the rights-of-way or any stormwater drains. This is the second reading of this ordinance. It was previously, it had its public hearing at the January 20th City Commission meeting. As of now, staff has received no public comments regarding this amendment, and staff would recommend approval of this text amendment. And I'm here to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you, Ms. Burchak. This is ordinance 1846. Commissioners, you have any questions for Ms. Burchak or city staff? Any question? If not, I'd look for a motion on the second reading of 1846.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 1846 by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We have a 2026 utility and street improvement NDDWR letter of support. Mr. Sklochek.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. Before you tonight is a letter of support to the North Dakota Department of Water Resources for a grant application regarding the 2026 Utility and Street Improvement Project. Project's anticipated to replace approximately 4,100 feet of existing 6-inch water main with new 8-inch PVC water mains. Project is included in the 2025 through the 2027 DWR Water Development Plan, which increases the probability of success being granted or being awarded this grant. And the municipal water supply cost share maximum is 60% through the DWR, which would leave the remaining 40% for the city of Dickinson to fund. Based on our current estimates, this project is anticipated, or the grant application is anticipated to be approximately $3,200,000. That would leave all the remaining cost share for the 40% cost share match, as well as some of the non-eligible items at approximately $6 million for the remainder of the project. Something to note, both construction and then also construction engineering costs are eligible cost share items. City engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklatchik. Any questions on this utility and street improvement letter of support? Now I look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We have a various intersection analysis task order award to civil science infrastructure. Mrs. Sklatchik.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a task order with Civil Science Infrastructure Incorporated to perform engineering services for the City of Dickinson project number 2026-14. That's the various intersection analysis project for a time and materials estimate as specified in the task order of $79,936. Task order is in reference to a proposal received through a request for proposal where 6 total proposals were received. Civil Science Infrastructure Incorporated scored the highest score based on their proposal. City attorney has reviewed the task order with no comments. Total scope of work included in this task order are intersection analysis for the intersections identified along State Avenue, and then ultimately look at traffic counts, warrant analysis, mitigation alternatives, and then a summary of the findings in the report. And project was included in the 2026 capital improvement plan, and then city engineering staff and public works staff recommend approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Sklatchik. Any questions on this task order with civil science? There are no questions. I'd look for a motion on the task order.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. And Mr. Sklatchik, you have a monthly report.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. So for the monthly report for engineering and community development, starting off with planning. So in the last monthly report, we just simply forgot to include this, but this was just a summary from the total of 2025. So you look at all the different individual development applications that were reviewed throughout the year, and then compare that back to some of the previous years. So so some of what we're intending to share there was just the fact that we ultimately processed a pretty significant workload overall for total numbers of applications, and so pretty pleased with the planning staff and kind of the processes that we've developed and standardized for working through pre-application meetings, and ultimately the intent is to process quality applications, but also move them through as reasonable as possible through the process. So far, we've had total number of 6 development applications for the 2026 calendar year. And you can see there 1 preliminary plat for a major subdivision, zoning map amendment, and then 4 zoning text amendments that we've been working through. And we've had, at the time of this, we've had a total of 7 development meetings throughout 2026 thus far. So the number of the weeks, we've actually had 2 individual pre-application meetings each week. And planning staff is working with Gate City Bank to renew or to work through that Dickinson revitalization program that we had in place last year, where we had a number of applicants utilize that. Under building and code, so the total number of permits that have been paid and picked up, and we have those split out for both in city limits and then those not in city limits, and then the commercial permits split out from the residentials. And that is reported through January 26, 2026. So going through engineering, a number of projects that are ongoing as we work through and kind of start rolling projects over from the engineering phase into the execution phase. A number of projects we are working on finalizing and getting out to bid over the next 2 to 3 weeks here, and have some bid openings scheduled. Get those things moved from the engineering phase into the execution phase. Number of projects we've got already slated, and that number will grow here pretty significantly over the next month or so. And then those projects currently under engineering, so working through a number of projects. We did sort these by least percentage complete to the maximum percentage complete. So when you look table on the right, most of those projects, as we're working to finalize those and get those out to bid. Side note, we do have the bid opening scheduled for 5th Street Southeast. That's bid through the North Dakota Department of Transportation, and thankfully we did have the funding bill passed by at the federal level, so that will move forward, and that bid opening will take place on Friday. And then working through one other notable, so 10th Avenue East from Museum Drive to 21st Street, we were just notified last week. We had submitted that project for North Dakota DOT flex funding, state level funding, and we were awarded that grant, and so that'll be something we'll be bringing the contract forward in the near future, and looking at getting that into the schedule and into the queue on when exactly we'll be able to move that forward into execution. So very excited about that. A lot of hard work and dedication went into getting that project off the ground and making that bid ready to get that grant award. And then geographical information system. So our GIS technician position, we had that posted, and a gentleman named Ryan Fell, he's looking to start approximately March 2nd. So very excited to bring him on board and getting a few things ready, some of the IT setup and some of those kind of things, getting things organized for him. And then our GIS specialist has been working on finalizing some of the record drawings or as-built from the 2025 utility projects, and then a number of other things, getting things prepped for the onboarding for Mr. Fell when he comes, and then currently going through the licensing structure for all the GIS software and making sure that we're allocating the different licenses appropriately and moving things over for best utilization of the current license structure that we have. With that being said, I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Skolacek. Any questions for Josh or city staff in public or community development? Any questions? All right, thank you. And that is the end of our normal agenda. We will move into commissioner comments. Any commissioners have anything? Nothing? All right, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?